Yo, just so you know, I'm recording this, I'm filming this. I've decided to film, document, record everything. Pretty much everything. Since I made the conscious decision to make everything, to approach everything artistically, to live my life, I'm finding there's so much value in what I'm doing from moment to moment that could be used to help somebody else, to go towards helping somebody else who feels the same way that I do and thinks the same way that I do and wants that same way of living that has value and meaning, that has meaning and purpose, and the value that I'm seeing in that is kind of wasted if I don't capture it and then look back on it and pick the bits out that would make sense to somebody and help somebody. And I think that's what's kind of led me to this position in the first place, following this intuition and this calling. And this is another one of those things where everything, I'm trying to lead by example, right? So me talking about living life as an art, it's no use just talking about it. You know, it has to be demonstrated and showcased and offered to people. I know that we're not the only ones. You and I are not the only ones. We made that clear. And by opening these doors and inviting people in with that same idea, with the same way of approaching and dealing with and confronting our normality with the challenge of creating things, living ways like it, I don't make sense. I know I don't, and it's difficult to just let that process happen, like automatic writing but automatic speaking. I'm just letting these thoughts out to you, and thank you for being here to listen to that. If I could go back 20 years and tell myself, you know, that every day, every moment, every breath you take is precious, every day and every moment, do you want those moments to be forgotten? Do you want your life to be forgotten? There's nothing more devastating to me than looking back and not being able to remember or remembering something that didn't count, remembering a life that didn't count, or remembering moments that didn't really mean anything or won't stand out. You know, when people take pictures of me, right? When people, like, even at family events or real life normal moments, when someone takes a picture and you do the smile thing, I always pull a funny face or I close my eyes, and I do it secretively right at the last moment when the picture's taken. And I do that and I get, you know, some people have told me after that and said, you shouldn't do that, you've ruined the picture. But I don't see it as that. I see it as, now you're going to look at that picture and you're going to remember that picture. You will remember that photograph over every other photograph that you're shown that day. You will remember the one where I've got a funny look on my face, right? So in a sense, every day that I'm living and everything that I'm doing, I'm trying to do that with. And, you know, I'm not intentionally trying to stand out or try to manipulate life just so that we can have attention, so that it's not necessarily just about attention. It's about making something memorable out of something that would otherwise be forgettable. And we don't want to be forgotten. We don't want these moments to be forgotten. So this approach to life, when you apply this idea to life itself, making everything stand out as artistic, as an art form. And when I talk about living life as an art, I don't mean to suggest that it's a thing of beauty, it's a beautiful thing. In its own sense, it is, and it becomes something beautiful. But the struggle and the pain and how ugly life is and how troubling times can be, you shouldn't just let those times go and let those moments go on by being full of struggle and pain and being hurtful. We've got the opportunity to go through those things with style and with artistry, and with we can attempt to make those moments stand out as moments of art. Charles Bukowski said it. He said what matters the most is how we walk through the fire, right? So we're all going to walk through the fire, we're all going to go through hell, but what matters the most is how you do it. You know, if I'm going to go through hell, I'm going to do it with style. I'm going to do it so that if you take a picture of me on that day, I'm gonna stand out as the artist. I'm gonna be the one who tried to make it different and tried to make it mean something, right? I guess that's what I'm getting at. Everything needs. I'm tired of everything having no meaning. When I look at the industry, when you look at the industry around us, the deceptive practices, the world of playing cards and the art of magic, everyone looks the same. Everything's the same. Everybody holds playing cards the same way. Everything's doing the same tricks. Everyone's using the same playing cards. And it's so boring. It's so awful and boring, you know? And to think that it's so easy to change that, to change a boring moment to a very fascinating and interesting moment by just having a different mindset where you approach what you're doing as an art, treat it as an art. Even if you're going to go on camera and do a snap change, do something different with it, like the way that you look or the environment that you're in or the things that you're saying. You know, if you're given an opportunity to snap somebody out of their reality just for a moment, then that's magical, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with the snap change or the cat. Yo, hold on a second, I gotta take this. Hold on. Alright, bye. Yo, Charlie, I do know that there's a very simple way of summarizing it. We can summarize this, but you know this way of expressing, you know, this idea of just letting it out when it's there and when it's kind of forcing its way out. That's kind of what I'm doing, and I wanted to get your thoughts more than anything. So everything I'm doing now, I'm just gonna record it, and then I can kind of cherry pick the moments that might be useful and might be meaningful for people that I'm trying to help. You know, and I was thinking, you know, if I could send these messages back and these little sparks of information back to me 20 years ago, my life would have been so different. But, you know, we can say that as well. We can talk like that forever. Life would be different in the worst possible way because I wouldn't have been led to this position. But let's not go off on a tangent. To summarize, I guess, every breath has to count. Every breath has to count. Every single person has the choice. They have an opportunity to make every passing second count. Now, how you choose to do that is up to you. And we do have the choice. We have the choice to let our days, our lives, our time slip away into the mundane normality, into this dank world where nothing matters and none of those memories matters. None of those memories matter whereas I can choose to make this very moment feel like a piece of art just by doing these little things and allow myself the freedom to be expressive in a way that's going to be captured. I'm filming this on screen. I've got my camera set up. It's all been recorded, and I know that I feel satisfied now that even a simple conversation, a simple phone call can become a piece of art. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and imagine if you. Now, I mean, the whole point of the whole thing is, once you start to live every second and make every breath count, once you start to live like that, if you apply that way of thinking and that way of existing to life itself and existence itself, then you leave yourself with no choice when it comes to your approach to your vocation, to like for me. I'm digitally fixated and obsessed, as you know, with deception and deceptive methods and playing cards. So me living my life the way that I do and making those choices to make every second count, I leave myself with no choice but to create something naturally different. It's going to be different. It's going to stand out as its own piece of art, and it doesn't matter if it's a deck of playing cards or a deceptive method or a display of magic. It doesn't matter if it's a piece of poetry or a performance piece. It doesn't make a difference what it is. It's the fact that you've approached life this way, life itself this way, as an art. Obviously, everything that comes into that life is going to be dealt with and treated like a piece of art. And I think that is the message that I was trying to get out of my head and out of here when I called you. So between us, I think we got there. Well, I think there's a level of freedom that comes with that. There's certainly a lesson in that, and I think it might be worth getting that recorded too, and recording that right now too. The idea of expressionalism and expression as an art itself. It doesn't take much. You just have to be you and let whatever's in there, let it out. The idea of doing that, every single person. Here's my thoughts.